New COVID rules to battle Omicron. No disciplinary action for drone killings. And the aftermath of the Kentucky tornadoes. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The results are in, everyone. In determining whether the Delta COVID variant is hot or not, it turns out it's not. It's all about that Omicron now, baby. It's official because Dr. Anthony Fauci said the Omicron COVID variant is going to be dominant in the United States, given its doubling time. Also helping its spread is the fact that the Pfizer vaccine is said to be only 33% effective against infection with the Omicron strain. But there is some good news. Preliminary data from South Africa shows that the Omicron variant causes less severe disease than any of the previous versions, and while the Pfizer vaccine is less effective at preventing infection, it still reduces the risk of hospitalization by 70%. And while Omicron has spread to 57 countries so far, there's only been one reported death from it. It was in the UK. It's unclear whether that person in the UK died from Omicron directly or had underlying health causes, like eating too many chip buddies. So overall, it looks like Omicron spreads faster, but is less dangerous. This is actually very encouraging. What's this feeling coming from inside my chest? Is this hope? I haven't felt that in so long. I feel amazing. How are politicians reacting to this news? Naturally, panic! Farewell, hope. Maybe I'll see you again in 2024. Meanwhile, starting January 3rd, Philadelphia will require proof of vaccination to enter indoor dining facilities and bars. This measure is meant to keep the citizens of Philadelphia healthy. Of course, the best way to keep people in Philadelphia healthy is by banning them from entering restaurants that serve cheesesteaks. And in New York and California, indoor mask mandates will be reinstated regardless of vaccination status. But don't worry, because in restaurants, you won't need to wear a mask once you're seated. It makes sense, because everyone knows the coronavirus only floats around once you stand up. Due to COVID concerns, the CDC has announced that Americans shouldn't travel to Italy, Greenland, or Mauritius. And I agree that Americans shouldn't travel to Italy, because if I see one more tourist pretending to hold up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, I'm absolutely going to lose it. But there may be hope after all. Pfizer announced its COVID-19 pill proved to be 89% effective at preventing hospitalizations and death in high-risk patients, and has remained effective even against the Omicron variant. This is encouraging not only for its findings, but also because it will be way easier to convince people to take a pill than to get vaccinated, especially since you can just hide the pill in a piece of cheese or in a cheesesteak. Just make sure you eat it while you're sitting down to avoid COVID. More after the break. Welcome back. A man was found dead in the parking lot of a California Tesla factory. The death is being ruled as suspicious, and the Fremont police captain said, "At this point, we have a dead body in the parking lot, and homicide investigators are taking over the investigation." Time magazine's Man of the Year, Elon Musk, isn't a suspect, mainly because the only thing he ever murders is his credibility, especially after announcing Tesla will now accept Dogecoin, a cryptocurrency started and popularized as a meme as payment for some products. And Musk's credibility was especially murdered after getting this haircut. He looks like he told his barber, "1 plate of chocolate spaghetti, please." Speaking of murder, the Pentagon announced that no disciplinary action will be taken against troops involved in a drone strike in Kabul, Afghanistan last August that killed innocent civilians, including children. Instead, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin approved recommendations for improvements in future operations involving drone strikes. I'm sure that'll make the families of the victims feel better. No, we're not going to punish the people responsible. We're just going to try real hard not to have another whoopsie-daisy the next time we send over our flying murder robots. This is like if instead of arresting Casey Anthony, the courts in Central Florida just gave recommendations for future games of hide and seek involving chloroform, trash bags, and shovels. An air conditioning and plumbing business in Central Florida called Mechanical One has announced it will hold a drawing to give away 2 free houses. This is meant to entice new employees and to keep current employees from leaving. While a new house seems like a great prize, there is one big problem. If you win, you have to live in Florida. So you lose. Have you ever been to Florida? It's so hot and sticky it feels like you're living inside of a Philly cheesesteak. Speaking of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis introduced the Stop the Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees Act, or the Stop Woke Act. It allows parents to sue schools that teach critical race theory in grades K through 12. This is also designed to stop CRT in corporations. This is similar in style to the Texas abortion ban, which puts the onus on citizens to sue in order to enforce the law. I, for one, am sick and tired of this. This is a slippery slope to a grim future for this country. And I'm not just talking about politicians encouraging citizens to sue each other to get around the legality of pushing their ideology. I'm talking about politicians wasting time coming up with stupid acronyms. Don't you have better things to do? Like cure Alzheimer's. And good news, scientists at the University of California, Riverside announced they may have discovered, well, at least what causes Alzheimer's. They believe it's caused by tau proteins that can cause tangles in brain fibers. The human body has a process called autophagy, which clears away used and defective proteins from cells. But this process can slow down as we age. A chemistry professor at UC Riverside said if a slowdown in autophagy is the underlying cause, things that increase it should have the beneficial opposite effect. This is obviously encouraging, as it may lead researchers to find a way to prevent Alzheimer's diseases at some point. It's also encouraging because with more understanding, they might even be able to find a way to give someone Alzheimer's disease. I wouldn't mind forgetting 90% of high school. Not remembering this sounds like the best way to enjoy my retirement. I'm just kidding. Like most people in my generation, I'm never going to be able to retire. And in absolutely no way related to Alzheimer's, after the break, Joe Biden. Welcome back. Tyler Moran, President Biden's senior advisor for migration, will leave her position in January. That's only 6 months after taking the role. Susan Rice, Biden's chief domestic policy advisor, said, Tyler has been an invaluable member of our team since the transition and a tremendous asset in our efforts to rebuild a fair and humane immigration system. Yep, this immigration system looks as fair and humane as Fox News is fair and balanced. The previous senior advisor for migration, Amy Pope, also only held the position for 6 months. The White House said both Pope and Moran didn't intend to stay on long. It's like migration advisors are migrating away from Biden. They probably feel Biden doesn't need their help since his policies are causing voters to migrate away from the Democratic Party, such as announcing he won't extend student loan relief, despite saying this while he was still campaigning.
I'm going to eliminate a lot of your student debt. I'm going to make sure that everybody in this generation gets $10,000 knocked off of their student debt.
I don't mean to victim blame, but if you're still holding your breath for politicians to pay off your student loans, that's on you at this point. Speaking of politicians you can't trust, disgraced former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. For months now, I've been begging someone, anyone, to hold Cuomo to task for his policies that killed thousands of grandparents. Well, my request was finally granted by a true paragon of virtue, former mob boss Sammy the Bull Gravano. Gravano said he killed 15,000 people by putting people with the coronavirus in nursing homes with old people. I don't give a f*** who tells me to do that. Whether it's Trump, the president, the vice president, you, him, I would never do it. When a mob boss says you've done too much killing, you've really sunk to new lows. This is like if Cuomo's conduct around women was called disappointing by Bill Cosby. Fox stars Sean Hannity, Lauren Ingraham, and Brian Kilmeade texted former President Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, during the January 6th Capitol riot, asking him to advise Trump to tell the rioters to go home, and that this was making him and the network look bad. Later that night on his show, Sean Hannity said the riots could have been caused by bad actors, and that Antifa was there to cause trouble. Many find this shocking, which I don't, because these are actors. Were you also shocked when you found out that Tom Holland can't really swing from webs? Or that Henry Cavill can't fly? Okay, that one did shock me because that man is an angel. Too bad his DC movies were all hellish. Point is, if you still look to corporate news networks for honesty and objectivity, that's on you at this point. Last weekend, a series of tornadoes swept across 8 states, causing dozens of deaths and untold millions of dollars in damages. Kentucky was hit the hardest, with at least 74 people confirmed dead. 8 of those people killed died while working at the Mayfield consumer products factory, which makes scented candles. Workers heard the warning sirens and allegedly asked supervisors for permission to leave, but they were told if they did so, they'd be fired. Then the factory was destroyed by the storm and 8 workers died. Several more workers were injured and are now suing the factory. The company denies these allegations, with the spokesperson saying, "We had a policy in place since COVID began. Employees can leave anytime they want to leave, and they can come back the next day." However, several employees have come forward saying they were threatened with termination if they left, and supervisors went as far as conducting a roll call. So it's several employees' word against the company's, which is in literal and figural damage control mode right now. I have to say, the Mayfield consumer products statement doesn't pass the sniff test. In fact, it reeks of so much BS, you'd need an entire scented candle factory to hide the smell. As for the employees who survived, the good news is they can leave and get a new job where they'll be appreciated, and even a new home. The bad news is, it'll be in Florida. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/America Uncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.